So it's a little update time. Um, so this goes into obviously the public realm, but obviously into the mesh group. So there's a lot of private stuff. So a lot of people are asking how I'm getting on. Now we're 3 weeks post-op. Obviously everyone can see that I'm walking better, which is phenomenal. But I am still in quite a lot of chronic debilitating pain. Similar levels to where we were prior to operation. So there we go. But people may say or be thinking, well, this is a failure or is it a success or whatever. Mesh removal is so difficult that two things can happen in mesh removal. You're going to have the mesh removed and you're going to stay the same in pain, or hope that you have a resounding result, which ultimately means you get some of your life back. Or what happens is the other side of mesh removal is you wake up and you're in a worse condition than what you are or were when you went under, due to how the mesh lays and whatever happens, etc. Now, can't say too much, but my mesh had fused to my body in two separate places. It was contorting and pulling my body in like that, which hence was the way I was walking. Now I don't feel this mesh anymore, so that has relieved a great strain upon my body. I can actually walk and become right-footed again. I'm relearning again how to walk normally, or as normal as possible, because I don't have this offending item in my body. Now, when you read the literature and you speak to the surgeons and then you speak to the experts who have had mesh removed, etc., an overwhelming 2/3 of the 100 or so people whom I've spoken to with mesh explants have says that the pain doesn't necessarily drop, however they get better movement and other things internally within the body, of which the mesh does actually gets better. So I'm hoping the forgetful brain fog will get better. I'm hoping I don't lose my smile because it's been permanently on my face ever since having the mesh removed. And yeah, now I have to say this to the non-mesh community out there. We know full well what we go into when we're going into this operation. As I say, there's two outcomes. A, we get better to a certain degree, or B, we come out worse. And some people, they cannot even have the mesh removed, so that is another possibility, that they're going through an operation and they find out that the mesh is attached to something so vital they can't take it out, and so there is a third option. But the two main options are worse, or indeed you just stay the same but the mesh isn't there. I've got to explain this to both sides, because I think this isn't getting through to a lot of people on both sides of the coin. Mesh removal surgeons are not there to cure us. Mesh removal surgeons are there to stop us from entering a further state of decline within our health, if it so be possible. Now, the next stage of my decline was a wheelchair. So obviously I'm quite glad I'm not in that position. Extremely glad. I'm glad I'm alive. And obviously, so people are asking for outcomes prior to surgery. This is the mesh afflicted community, and this is who this is for, because we have to accept that we can't expect outcomes. We can't ask a surgeon for outcomes. And the reason we cannot ask for outcomes is because the outcomes are depicted upon the damage that the mesh has done prior to it being removed. And that's the issue. Very, very, very few surgeons can actually see the mesh on an ultrasound machine or very few trained personnel can see the mesh on an ultrasound machine, or even MRI, or even CT scan. You know, if there's 1% of the world's surgeons, or less than 1%, that can remove this mesh, then that's less than 1% whom are trained to look for this mesh. And this is the information that needs to get passed down to the non-private sector surgical teams like the NHS, etc. Anyway, I'm waffling. There was two main criteria that I had set when I went for this operation that I would regard myself as having a successful operation. And I say successful in a loose term, because I know for a fact my surgeon doesn't think this is a success, but I do. My two prerequisite conditions were met. A, I had to wake up knowing that I had no more poisonous mesh inside my body. I got that. And B was the fact that I had no additional pain on top of the pain I'm already suffering, and will pre-exist and stay there until my end of days. Now, I have better movement, and I have these two conditions that I wanted fulfilled. So for me, it's a success, and I say this loosely. I'm still in debilitating pain, regardless if I'm walking better, but I don't wake up in the morning feeling this utter bear trap biting at me. I wake up in the morning now with a sense of purpose, and I wake up with a smile because I have no more mesh. So 3 weeks in, it's a little too early to say what's gonna happen, etc. I know I will be left with damage. That was always says within all the meetings that I've had with my doctor, etc., who removed this. But obviously there is a hope that we wake up and we have, you know, a better furtherment of increase of everything, you know, of life, and less pain and a better chance. We've not quite got that yet, but we're 3 weeks in. So let's see what the next 3 weeks will bring, eh?